Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of D-Class personnel. Go ahead and sit down. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Commander and I'm going to be briefing you on the SCP you're about to go study. So before we get into it, let's address the elephant in the room. I know my skin is blue. If I hear one more goddamn giggle, just one more snicker, I swear you're going to be scrubbing the parking lot with your own scalp. It all happened when we tried to do that experiment with SCP. He thought he was being funny and decided to use that toilet dye. You know what I'm talking about. So unless you want to be breathing in nerve gas, keep your damn comments to yourself. It'll wash out. Let's pay attention. Today, we're looking at SCP-4834, Object Class Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4834 is to be kept in a secure object container with one Zynac Anastankos constant temporal sink mounted on the outside at all times. SCP-4834-1 through -5 are to be watched by agents in their respective areas. No entry is to be allowed at any time. Description: SCP-4834 is the corpse of temporal studies researcher Christopher Ferris, a former Foundation employee who died on January 13, 2016. Despite this, Ferris's corpse was unable to be recovered until October 13, 2018. SCP-4834 has a damaged Zynac temporal manipulator embedded in its arm that generates a temporal desynchronization field around SCP-4834. As a result, SCP-4834 is unaffected by the flow of time in the area around it, and it has remained unchanged since Ferris's death. SCP-4834 will teleport to a set of 5 locations when uncontained. Upon arriving at a location, SCP-4834 will cause one of 2 different additional timelines, designated Timeline A and B, to appear and overwrite the baseline timeline. Neither of these timelines are the baseline timeline, and locations will revert back to the baseline after SCP-4834 teleports to a new location. SCP-4834 will remain in a location until disturbed, at which point it will teleport to a different location out of the 5. On January 11, 2016, Site-23 Director Matthews received a message on their computer reading, "Watch where Ferris goes," with a sent date of October 17, 2018. Director Matthews dispatched a security team to apprehend Ferris and examined the data on his XTM. Ferris attempted to flee Site-23 and was presumed dead 2 days later, when he vanished from inside his car while fleeing agents. 3 hours later, a team was sent to investigate Ferris's car and witnessed him reappearing by his car soon after arrival, opening fire on him and killing him. One of the rounds struck his XTM during this engagement, damaging it. At this point, SCP-4834 gained its anomalous properties and teleported away. It was not recovered until being intercepted at SCP-4834-5 on October 13, 2018. Following Ferris's death, investigations into his activities revealed that he had been using Foundation-sanctioned trips and his XTM for unauthorized, deviating from his set travel path to instead visit several locations unrelated to his work in the Department of Temporal Studies. Ferris recorded his trips to these locations and is suspected to have interfered heavily in past events multiple times in each location. His interference is suspected to have caused severe damage to the timeline, possibly having caused a TM-class restoration event, where all evidence of his interference was removed from the main timeline. The collateral damage of this event is entirely unclear. SCP-4834 has teleported to 5 locations, designated -1 through -5. All information on the instances was gathered by the exploration teams in the time period between Ferris's death and SCP-4834's containment. Now, for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to tell you what number it is. SCP-4834-1, we'll do -2, -3, -4, -5, and so on. I don't want to be talking to you morons all fucking day. An apartment complex in Norfolk, Virginia, this is -1. In Timeline A, only 1 apartment is occupied with very little furniture present. Only a refrigerator and microwave are present in the kitchen, and the single bed appears to barely fit 2 people. In Timeline B, various reports of the New York Stock Exchange and sports results for 2017 are scattered across the bed. Blood is present on the bathroom floor with a blood-covered metal water bottle lying on the bedroom floor. Paperwork in the front desk present in both timelines shows the apartment is registered to Ferris. Notably, whenever Ferris returned from a trip in which he actually went to -1 while he was still alive, he required medical treatment for blunt force trauma to various body parts. -2. A stretch of gravel road located near Charleston, South Carolina. In Timeline A BMW 3 Series is flipped onto its roof in the middle of the road. An ambulance is present nearby, with a stretcher leaned against the rear doors. In Timeline B, a wooden barrier is across the road and the BMW is crashed into a tree to the left of the barrier. A human corpse is present in the vehicle, with the cause of death determined to be blunt force trauma from crashing into the tree. Paperwork in the glove box shows the car is registered to a Matthew Ferris in both timelines. Genetic testing on the corpse showed similarities to Ferris, but no match could be established to the corpse otherwise. -3. A Methodist church in Ellicott City, Maryland. In Timeline A, the roofing is partially collapsed around the altar area, and a female human corpse is crushed underneath the rubble. A name tag lists her name as Julia Ferris, and genetic testing showed similarities to Ferris. Similarly to the corpse in -2 in Timeline B, no match could be established for the corpse. In Timeline B, much of the roofing is collapsed onto the pews and 47 corpses are present. Signs of a hasty and poor quality repair job are present in the portions of the roof that are not collapsed and are suspected to have caused such a massive collapse. All corpses have been identified as members of the congregation that are alive in the baseline timeline. Ferris is listed as a frequent donator of the church in both timelines, despite never having attended in the baseline. Of note is that Ferris often requested construction materials before misusing trips to travel to both -2 and -3. -4. A small street alley in Chicago, Illinois. In Timeline a male human corpse with a gunshot wound to the chest is in the center of the alley. An empty wallet is next to the corpse, and a handgun is on the ground by the entrance of the alley. In Timeline B, a female corpse with several gunshot wounds is slumped against a wall in the side of the alley next to a bloody knife. An empty handgun of the same model from Timeline A is on the opposite side of the alley, and a trail of blood leads out of the alley. Both corpses have been identified as Ferris's parents, who both died in a robbery in 2013 that was suspected to have been a result of the TM class event. The blood on the knife and in the trail in Timeline B matched Andrew Lemmings, the robber who killed Ferris's parents, and is currently serving prison time. Ferris's notes indicate he was preparing to use Foundation high-caliber arms on his next trip to SCP 4834-4. -5. A former Foundation safe house near Green Bay, Wisconsin. In Timeline A, various components determined to be from Ferris's XTM are scattered on a table, along with newspaper clippings containing obituaries from the individuals in -2 and -3. These clippings are the only other known reference to those individuals. The terminal within the safe house is logged onto Ferris's account, but contains nothing except for an empty message in Site 26's director's office. In Timeline B, the front door is broken down and scraps of metal and newspaper clippings are mixed with pieces of a table scattered on the floor. The terminal within is also broken, with the storage drive removed. Unlike other instances, Ferris's notes indicate he only traveled to -5 once, departing and returning on January 9th, 2016. The location is listed as a failsafe in Ferris's notes, although it's unclear what Ferris meant by failsafe. Incident 4834-1. On October 17, 2018, researcher Ferris appeared within -5 and immediately triggered lockdown procedures, sealing it off and causing cameras present within -5 to begin recording. Now, we have acquired one of the video recordings. I'll go ahead and read the log of it here for you. Begin log. Ferris begins rummaging through the drawers of his desk, removing a slip of paper with an override code to the terminal on it. He then proceeds to activate the terminal, accessing the Foundation intranet. Ferris. Oh, thank God it's still here. Okay. This can still be fixed. Ferris removes a small metal device from his pocket and affixes it to the side of the terminal. A sudden burst of temporal radiation temporarily scrambles the cameras, causing a visual static, and Ferris is seen pushed away from the terminal. Ferris, no, not yet. Just stick with me a little longer. The storage drive on the terminal begins fading in and out as the monitor sparks. Ferris runs back over to the terminal, attempting to deactivate the maintenance protocols. At this time, the XACTS in SCP-4834's containment chamber suffered a failure due to unclear reasons. SCP-4834 teleported to -5, appearing behind Ferris. Ferris, all right, time to go. Oh, fuck. SCP-4834 emits a burst of temporal radiation, causing the device affixed to the terminal to vanish. Ferris stumbles before restarting his XTM. Ferris, thank God for failsafe plans. That thing looks nasty. Ferris activates his XTM, vanishing. The storage drive of the terminal fully reappears and the terminal stops sparking. SCP-4834 remains in place until recovery teams arrive at -5. End log. Now, the Department of Temporal Studies is currently attempting to access the data of SCP-4834's XTM in order to correlate Ferris's notes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was SCP-4834 dismissed.